So your purpose comes from your pain, right? This is why I wrote Built to Serve, right? I mean, because I got asked that question so many times, and it's not that difficult. It doesn't require years of meditation or journaling or anything else. You just have to think about what is the most painful moment for you as a human, and not like I broke my arm or something, not physical pain, but emotional pain. When you felt the lowest of the low, you felt worthless, you felt like you have no, you're no point in life. And you've grown from that. You've come out of that. You're not where you want to be yet, because we're constantly growing, but you're way better than you used to be. Whether that was 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, there's lots of people who currently are who you used to be. And your purpose is to go help them.
Hi there, this is Sarah Kuhn. If you are an INFJ or in a relationship with an INFJ or related to an INFJ in any way, and you want to figure out how they operate, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better, this is the show for you. It's called The Quiet Ones. This is a show that deconstructs INFJs, what they are, how they think, how they feel, how they operate, and how they relate to people with other personality types. Whether you have just found out that you're an INFJ or have known for a number of years, there is something for everyone. You will learn more about your personality type so that you understand who you are and understand how you operate in the workplace, in relationships, in your family, and with friends. I want you to walk away from every episode feeling like you have a place of belonging, feeling like you are no longer alone, feeling like you have a place to be heard and seen and understood as you really are. This is a place to connect with other INFJs, to learn and grow and really thrive. I want to give you inspiration and real life strategies that are going to help you figure out how to live your best life every single day. Though INFJs are very rare, you are not alone in this world. You are not the only one who thinks the way that you do and feels the way that you do. Hear from real INFJs just like you. Hi there, I'm Sarah Kuhn. Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Ones. We have an amazing guest that I am so excited for you to hear the interview of today. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my community, INFJ Community. Have you ever thought to yourself, how do I find people who really understand me? How do I find connection and learn about myself in the process? My name is Sarah Kuhn, and I write a blog called INFJ Woman, and I host a podcast called The Quiet Ones. Both of these platforms are dedicated to helping INFJs realize that you are not alone in this world. There are so many people out there just like you who have the same struggles that you do. I built a whole community to connect INFJs together so that we can come together and get that understanding that we long for. My community is called INFJ Community. It's designed to help you go from feeling alone and misunderstood to feeling connected and appreciated. How do you meet other INFJs? How do you find people who relate to you right from the start? How do you know that you get validation and acceptance when you don't get it from your friends? How do you make new friends? I've created this community so that all of this is possible and likely in one place. If you are an INFJ who wants to make friends with other INFJs, but feels lost and confused about where to find them, but you want to connect and learn and grow, this community is going to be such an answered prayer. Not only are you going to connect with other like-minded people, but you will also learn so much about yourself in the process. This community includes exclusive courses designed to help you grow as an INFJ and give you real solutions to everyday struggles. It also includes coaching sessions twice a month where we dive deep into INFJ issues to help you break free from all of your fears and doubts. You also get access to exclusive content and discounts for upcoming courses and coaching. There are two different paths that you can take. You can go through life alone, searching everywhere you can for answers and feeling lost and alone. Or you can take the better path. You can join this community of like-minded people who can support you in your journey, help you find direction, and understand you right from the start. Right now, there are INFJs in the community ready and waiting to connect with you. They've found that connection and understanding that you're looking for. It's up to you to make the decision to join them. You can connect with other INFJs and be a source of help and value to them while they're doing the same thing for you. Join me in INFJ Community, where we'll go from lost and confused about who you are and why you were put on this earth to knowing that you belong and having people understand you right from the start. You can find all of the information at infjcommunity.com. But don't wait. Doors to the community close Friday, May 29th, and may not open again this year. This is a limited time offer, so you need to act quickly. Come and join us today. We can't wait to see you there. Make sure you head over to infjcommunity.com to learn more. There's a link in the show notes. Also, make sure that you do it quickly because the doors will be closing to the community this Friday, which is May 29th. And they may not open again this year. All right, so our guest today is Evan Carmichael. If you don't know who Evan is, you really should because he's completely amazing. He is an entrepreneur who believes in entrepreneurs. He runs a YouTube channel for entrepreneurs that has over 2 million subscribers and over 300 million views. He's written 4 books, including his latest one that's called Built to Serve, which I absolutely love. And he also is a motivational speaker. Evan joined me on Instagram Live last week. It was kind of a surprise, so I was a little bit taken aback when he did, but it was a fun interview, and so I wanted to share it with you. We spoke about both of us being INFJ, and we talked about having an extroverted day and about how to find your purpose in the world. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you know that you can get the show notes along with all of the links to everything that we're talking about by going to thequietonespodcast.com. While you're there, make sure you check out my book, The INFJ User Guide. This book will help you understand what it means to be an INFJ, and it will help you see the impact that that has on your life. And it will help you discover how life-changing this knowledge can be. So make sure you get a copy. Also, one more reminder, you can watch the video interview at youtube.com/thequietonespodcast. I think we might have a special guest for our video.
Hey, it's happening.
Hi! How are you?
Good, how are you, Sarah?
I'm great. I was not expecting this, so I'm caught a little bit off guard.
Well, I wasn't either, but here we are.
Yes.
So let me ask you something. So I went to the person that says I'm INFJ too, which I think is how we first connected, or you commented on something I did, or I commented on something you did. I forget, way back.
Yeah.
So Thursday. So today's Thursday. Thursday is my extrovert day. Even though I'm super introverted, Thursday is where I just put on my extrovert hat, and all day long I'm doing interviews and podcasts and hangouts and IG lives, and I just find it easier. And I don't know enough about INFJ, but maybe this is actually really helpful, or maybe just I'm super weird. But I like knowing that just one day a week, I get to do all of my interviews and just carry the energy. I actually gain more energy over the day by being just in that mode, and I don't have to worry about writing my next book or making videos or anything else. Do you find that is like, one, are you the same way in that you like having different things on different days? And two, is that like an INFJ thing, or is that just Evan Carmichael's a weird duck?
No, I think it's definitely an INFJ thing because it takes us a lot of energy to be able to put ourselves out there and to connect with other people. So scheduling it all in one day definitely helps a lot. And I need to be a lot more intentional with that for sure. I usually do a lot of it on Thursday too, because I have a couple of things in the evening that I already have scheduled. So I'm like, all right, let's just get it out of the way. And plus it takes us so much time to recharge that it's like, why not do it all at once and then have the whole rest of the week to recover from it? And I also like knowing what's coming, right? So I can be prepared for it. I like that routine too. So
Max CC wrote, bet you're tired after your extrovert day. Here's the thing. So for me, it's just kicking it off. That's the only thing that really is the hard part, right? So I just finished doing I have a YouTube course and I just finished going live in that group. And leading up to that, I'm nervous and worried and like who's gonna show up and what questions they're gonna ask. But after the end, like, that was amazing. Right? And so then I see Sarah go live, like, I want to join in. Let's go live together, Sarah. Right? And like I actually gain more energy. So by the end of the day, I'm probably gonna crash, but come like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whoever I'm talking to, I'm actually bringing the whole energy of I'm bringing Sarah's energy all the way forward to the end of the day. But it's just getting started that I find really difficult. So that's why I have one whole day for it, because if I did bits of it every day, then I'd have the challenge of getting started every day as opposed to just starting once a week, and then I have that whole day to carry the energy forward.
Yeah, I used to have the same thing. In fact, I used to tell people that I hate people. Like, I don't like being around people because it's just so draining and it's so much. But once I started my podcast and I started doing a lot of interviews earlier this year with INFJs and other people who are intuitive, and it was the same thing. When I was getting ready to do an interview, I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I don't want to do this. This is really hard. And I would have to force myself to actually do it. But during the conversation, I could feel my energy level rising. And by the end of the conversation, I'm the same with you. I'm like, yes, that was so awesome. Let's go do another one because it was so cool. It's the connection that we're looking for, and connecting on things that we're passionate about and talking to people who care about what we're talking about. It's those deep conversations that we really want. It's not that we hate people. It's that we hate shallow conversations.
Yeah.
We want something that's deep and meaningful.
Yeah. In my language, it'd be like serve, right? You're built to serve. You want to know that the work you're doing matters and is serving other people. 1,000%. Like if you woke up and felt like the work that you did matters, I think that's such a great gift. And you're willing to, you love actually talking to people, knowing that you're helping them. We want to help others, but we're afraid of others and their judgments and, opinions and everything. And so like, that's the constant battle. I'm with you. I was on an airplane late last year. I was speaking at an event in Puerto Rico, and I was on an airplane, and I hate talking to the guy next to me in the airplane, right? Like, hate it. I never do it. I remember everything about this guy, that he woke up at 2 a.m. to catch a flight to get here, and he likes his coffee decaf with 1 sugar and 1 cream and all this stuff. But he's trying to make small talk, and it's like, I'm just trying to not be rude, right? It's like, just let me do my thing. I hate talking about the weather or the cushiony airplane or like whatever. But then when I landed in Puerto Rico, I found out that he was at the same event that I was speaking at. He was, and then I saw him the next day, and then we started talking about his business and how I can help him. And then it was an instant click, because if you know that you can help them, you can serve them, it shifts the whole conversation, because now there's a lot of depth and meaning, much more than just, hey, so why are you going to Puerto Rico, and just trying to make small talk.
Yeah. So can I ask you, I haven't done a lot of live events, but that's like the next thing that I want to do. In fact, I was scheduling some right before we got quarantined, which was terrible timing. But it's terrifying for me to talk in front of people, especially in person. And I'm hoping it's going to be a significant amount of people, right? At least, a few to begin with. I used to have a job where I had to speak in front of like 25 people, but it was kind of a rehearsed thing, so I knew what to say every single week.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I'm assuming it's a lot more draining than just being live on video. So how do you deal with that?
So I don't know that I call it draining. It's definitely a lot more stressful. And again, maybe you're the you're the INFJ like master. So I just can speak from my experience. But last year I was in Arizona speaking at an event, and Dean Graziosi and Brendan Burchard put on this event every year. They had a couple thousand people. It was, Eric Thomas and them and me. I was like, Eric Thomas and I were the only external speakers kind of brought in to speak. A couple thousand people. And 10 minutes before going on stage is a super lonely time. Like if you're at a backstage at a big event, nobody talks to the speaker before they're about to go on because they don't want, it's just like leave them in their zone. So
Right.
I decided I was going to go up with no slides just because, right? So now I got to speak for an hour with no slides. So there's nothing even to save me. It's like, oh, right. Yeah, I'm talking about that thing. Right. And I forgot what I was going to start with. So I was backstage kind of pacing, practicing, just trying to remember what I was going to do. And I forgot how I was going to open up my speech. And I just had this now mental image in my head of me going up and bombing and failing and disappointing everybody. And it's all my fault. And holy cow, this sucks. And I haven't had an anxiety attack like that in a long time to that degree. I'm always worried about disappointing people, but not where it's like crippling and I forget. And it's still service that saved me. So I peeked out of the curtain and I looked at the audience and I said, I'm here for them. Like, I'm not here for me. This isn't even about me. I have information that can help those people that Brendan doesn't know and Dean doesn't know and Eric Thomas doesn't know. I have knowledge that can help those people stop being selfish and get out there and help them. And that calmed me down. Maybe for others it just adds more pressure, but for me it's like, oh, it's about serving people and I have knowledge that can help. That is the thing that calmed me down, made me remember what I was gonna do when I got on stage. And then went off and they ended up giving me extra time on stage because it was going so well, which is great. My favorite part of those things, though, isn't even the stage work. It's the afterwards. And this seems so weird for an INFJ, or maybe it's normal. I don't know. I stay in the hallway for 5 or 6 hours after the event. Like for me, the joy isn't the speech. It's the one-on-ones afterwards. And I'll stay until the whole thing is done. I'll go home back to my hotel and like die afterwards. But I'm so in the zone of helping people that I'll forget to eat and forget to go to the bathroom and not notice that I'm running a fever because I'm just in the zone of helping people so much. And I love the speaking, not for the speaking. I love the speaking as the setup to have people come and ask me questions after so I can help them. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Yeah, I love helping people too. And my biggest fear as well is disappointing people. Every time I think about my podcast or the courses that I'm doing or, just being on Instagram, it's like, okay, I don't want to disappoint anybody. And every time I get terrified, I go back to that too. I'm here to help people. And if I can just help one person, then that's all that matters. That's why I started my Instagram account. I thought if I could just help one person, and I never expected there to be 50,000 people on my Instagram account ever.
We're just starting. It's just starting, Sarah. It's happening.
I did because I just started it like a year and a half ago. So yeah, I'm definitely a lot newer at this than you are. You've been doing this for a long time.
YouTube, yes. Instagram, I'm a little bit newer. I went hardcore on Instagram maybe 2 years ago. YouTube, 11 years I've had my main channel for. So yeah, it's pretty wild and crazy. So here's the thing though, like if you're afraid of disappointing people, but you also want to serve, that's where most people get held back. Because serving involves other people. You can't serve without helping other people, but if you're afraid of disappointing them, then it's like having your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. Like you're capable of more, you want to do this thing, but you're so afraid that you don't go anywhere and you're just spinning your wheels. And so that reminder to myself, at least, is like, this is service. This is to help somebody. My intention is good. They may not get it. It may not work. You may start a podcast and it sucks and you may go live and make a mistake, but the intention is good. And as long as the intention is positive, the intention to serve, almost always, that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a really big question because I know you probably don't have a lot of time. So many people ask me, how do you find your purpose? So I'm going to ask you that. How do you find your purpose?
So your purpose comes from your pain, right? This is why I wrote Built to Serve, right? I mean, because I got asked that question so many times, and it's not that difficult. It doesn't require years of meditation or journaling or anything else. You just have to think about what is the most painful moment for you as a human. And not like I broke my arm or something, not physical pain, but emotional pain. When you felt the lowest of the low, you felt worthless, you felt like you have no, you're no point in life. And you've grown from that. You've come out of that. You're not where you want to be yet, because we're constantly growing, but you're way better than you used to be. Whether that was 6 months ago, or a year ago, 5 years ago. There's lots of people who currently are who you used to be. And your purpose is to go help them. And you represent hope to them. And people will default to thinking, well, I'm no Tony Robbins, or I'm no Brendan Burchard, or whoever. Soon they're going to say, I'm no Sarah Kuhn, but you can help, right? Like you can help the person who you used to be. If you think back to that person who you used to be 5 years ago, you can help that person in a way that Evan Carmichael or Tony Robbins or whoever can't. And so it's just understanding that there's lots of people who currently are like that. Serving others is hardwired into us. It makes you feel good. We all know it. They've done functional MRIs on people's brains and found that serving others hits the same part of the brain as having food and having sex, which are also important as humans. And so it's like it's hardwired into you to serve and to help. But there's a difference between just serving, like buying the coffee of the person behind you in line, or holding the door for somebody. These little moments, these acts of service, good deeds, versus a deep fulfillment of helping other people go through the thing that you went through. So I love helping entrepreneurs because I struggled so much as an entrepreneur. You know, I quit on my first business partner for a day. I came back the next day, but that was like the lowest moment in my life. And so I want to make it easier for other entrepreneurs not to struggle and suffer as much as I did. I want to make it easier for introverts to step up. Like, how does an introvert get on stage and talk to 2,000 people and have a YouTube channel with 300 million views and all that? Well, I don't know. Like, I'm figuring it out. I mean, I've done it and I want to get even bigger. And just sharing that can be an inspiration, hopefully, to other introverts as well. So the pain that you went through can either define you from a negative and you stay lost and trapped, or can define you in a positive and say, hey, this is my chance to serve and give back and help everybody else who's currently suffering with this same thing.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. That's exactly how I found my purpose too. That's why I started my channel, is because I was lost as far as what my personality type was, and learning about it. And I thought, hey, if this information can help somebody else, then yeah, I need to put it out there. I need to do that. And I was one of those people who thought I didn't want to help other people. I read that about our personality and I was like, that's not really me. I'm more of a stay in the, behind the scenes type of person. But then once I started helping people, then I really found a passion for it. And I realized that's what I want to do. And I want to do more of it and more of it and more of it. And pushing myself past all of those fears and insecurities is difficult, but then you go back to your why, and yeah, it's worth it.
I love it. Look what's happened. She's at 50,000. She's growing. She's got the lives. It's great. I love it. Anyway, I saw you go live, and like, this is awesome. I wanna hop in and just spread some love, and thank you for the conversation. And I'm so pumped to see you continue to grow where you've come from in such a quick amount of time, and I'm so pumped to see where you take it in the next year and a half.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for all the inspiration. I love your book. I'm telling everybody about it. Yeah, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that chat with Evan as much as I did. He is so amazing, and it was so great to have him on Instagram, and I'm glad that I can share the interview with you as well here. Purpose is something that is really, really important to me. I spent so many years feeling lost and confused about what my purpose was, and I didn't even know where to look to find it. I struggled when I was in high school. I really didn't want to graduate from high school, not because I felt like I was irresponsible, but because I didn't know what to do. I went to college as a backup plan, and college was a struggle for me as well. I loved being in college and I got pretty good grades, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I even took a class on what career you should have. And I pretty much came up as lost as I was when I went in. So I went to 4 different colleges and I changed my major probably 6 or 8 different times. So I have an associate's degree in business management and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a minor in business marketing. And I have about 3/4 of a mechanical engineering degree. So that tells you just a little bit of the things that I've studied in college. It's a wide range, right? Most of them really aren't even that related to each other. Then when I got out of college, I ended up working in marketing, and that switched over to digital marketing and social media. And now I am mostly an entrepreneur. I have this podcast, I write a blog. When people ask me what I do, I usually say I'm a writer because I wrote a book. So I feel like I am actually a writer now. Even though you are technically a writer as soon as you start writing, you don't have to have a book to be a writer. I wrote a blog for a year and a half before my book came out. So, I mean, as soon as you start writing, you're considered a writer, I feel like. So I tell you all that to let you know that I've struggled a lot. I've struggled so much, really, and I didn't really nail down what my purpose was until last year, which means that for 33 years, I was just kind of trying to figure things out. I felt like I was lost and aimlessly wandering around and just trying to figure out what the next thing was. A big piece of the puzzle, something that really helped me, was figuring out my personality type. But when I read about being an INFJ, part of it didn't make sense to me, which was helping other people. I never really felt this deep desire to help other people because I didn't know how I could help them. And I really, really don't want to disappoint people. I was always the person in my family who was helping, constantly. I was the one helping with dinner. I was the one who was doing the laundry and all the chores and things. I was great at being a helper that way. But when it came to business, I really wasn't sure how I could help people outside of just being a regular people pleaser, right? So that part of my personality was kind of confusing because I was like, I don't know if that's for me. I'm really just, I just really want to do something where I can go to work and make enough money to support the lifestyle that I want, just put in my time and be able to clock out and go home. I didn't want the responsibility of owning my own business. I didn't want the responsibility of worrying about where the money was going to come from, because I thought that it would be a struggle. I thought it would be too much. I didn't see the part where it's an exciting challenge. I didn't understand all of the independence that comes with it and how important that was to me until I was in a bunch of jobs that I really didn't like that much. And I had several bosses who would ask me to do things that I didn't agree with. And they wouldn't listen to my opinion. And I just kept getting put down and put down and put down. And I was miserable. Every single day I went to work, I was so miserable. And I thought, this can't be it. This can't be all that life is supposed to be, right? So I've been reading Evan's book, and part of it that is really important is Evan's book. It's called Built to Serve. There's a link for you to be able to get it in the show notes. But it's all about finding your purpose, right? And one of the big things that he talks about is your pain points. So I did one of the exercises in his book, and I wanted to share with you some of the pain that I've went through. And I wrote it down because because that's what he said to do, but I was also really surprised at what came up, because I didn't think that it had been this bad for me until I wrote all of it down, and I'm like, wow. So one of the things that he says to do is to write down the biggest pain point that you have for every 10 years of your life. So I'm going to be 35 this year, so I wrote down 25 to 35, and I started writing down the pain points. And I realized that in 2010, I got laid off from my job. And then in 2013, I got fired from a job that I hated, but I still got fired. And then I realized in 2016, I got fired from a job. And in 2017, I got laid off from, well, in 2016, the job that I got fired from was like my dream job. And so I got another job in that same industry. 5 months later, I get laid off, and I lost everything, like everything. I got a job again where I was underemployed, and I hated the job. And just like maybe 3 months later, I got fired again for no reason. They just said, there's the door. So in the space of 10 years, I've been laid off twice and fired 3 times. And I mean, I knew it, right? But I'd never written it down and seen it. And it was like, wow, that's a lot. That's so much. You know, no wonder I have so much fear and anxiety about my job. No wonder I'm terrified about losing my job, right? The worst part about each one of those situations is most of them were out of my control. It wasn't that I'm a terrible employee. It's not that I show up late to work or that I'm not good at my job. Because as an INFJ who's a terrible people pleaser, I'm the one who shows up early and who does more than I'm supposed to do. So in a lot of those situations, you know, you can't really help getting laid off, right? You can't help that the economy is in a recession. You can't help that a company that's 125 years old is downsizing. There's nothing you can do about that. The times that I got fired, I will really only claim responsibility for one of them. The job that I felt like was my dream job, I knew I was leaving, and so it only took them a week to fire me after I knew that I was leaving. There's one thing that connects all of those jobs, though, that I failed at so miserably. And the connection is I didn't really have a reason to go aside from money, right? I always struggled. Every time I would go to an interview, people would ask me, why do you want to work here? And I really wanted to say, well, because I need money, right? I have to pay rent, but that's not really an acceptable answer. So I would always have to come up with something else. But that was the real answer. That was why I needed a job. That was why I wanted to work there. But when people ask me about my business now, that's not the reason that I write my blog. It's not the reason that I do this podcast. It's not about money. It's about something that's a lot bigger and a lot deeper. That's the change that finding your purpose will have for you. You won't feel like the only thing getting you out of bed in the morning is Starbucks. You know, it won't be coffee. You won't get up and dread going to work. It won't be something that's awful and terrible and horrible. That was me. I was like, every single morning I had to talk myself into going to work. I did whatever I could to survive. I ate at my favorite restaurants for lunch because that was like the halfway point of the day. And Friday was the best day of the week, especially if I didn't have to work Saturday and Sunday. And a lot of times I did, just to make ends meet. But it was just a struggle. It was difficult, and I was just waiting for the next time that something bad was going to happen. And now I know why, because there was a lot of bad things that happened to me in a short period of time. So the turning point for me was learning about my personality and making some big changes in my life to where what I was doing every single day, what I do every single day now, is way more in alignment with the person that I want to be and the life that I want to lead. And I realized that helping people is a big part of who I am. I realized that that was one of the pieces that was missing of why I hated my job so much, because I went to work every single day at all of these different jobs, and I felt like I had no meaning. I felt like it didn't matter whether I was there, whether somebody else was there. It didn't matter. It had no impact on anybody, right? Once I was able to identify that and to make those changes, then I took that pain that I felt, that the pain of rejection, the pain of abandonment, the pain of not belonging, the pain of not fitting in, of not having a purpose, of not having any meaning or drive. And I turned that into something else. I figured out why it was that I was different. And instead of using that as a crutch and saying, well, I'm never going to have any connection because I'm just so different than everybody else, I use that as a way to help other people who are different as well. I want to educate myself about my personality. I want to learn and grow and be the best version of myself. And I want that for you as well. I know the big, massive difference that having a purpose and knowing exactly what it is and waking up to do that every single day, being excited to get out of bed in the morning. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like when somebody reaches out to you and says, you've really changed my life. I absolutely love the work that you're doing. Please keep doing it. I know how that feels, and I want that same thing for you as well. I've put together so many resources to help you so that if you're struggling the same way that I was struggling when I was in high school, or the 15, has it been almost 20 years since I've been in high school? Oh my gosh, I feel old. But I've put together all of these resources to help you so that if you're struggling, if you're in that same situation, you don't have to wander around in the dark and feel lost and confused. I put together everything that I've learned, everything that's helped me, so that you have all of these resources in one place. And it won't have to take you 20 years to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life. You can figure it out today. You can figure it out this week. And you can start to take action on it as well. So I wanted to tell you just about a couple of the things that I have. So just in case you're in this situation, you know where to look for the answers. The first thing that I wanted to tell you about is a workbook that I put together that's called The Complete Guide to Finding Your Purpose. This guide has everything in it that I use to help me find my purpose. It's a series of questions that will help you work through some of the big things that you need to think about in order to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. The next thing is called the Purpose in Action course. This is a self-paced course that is an 8-week course full of everything that you need to figure out what your purpose is and to be able to take action on it. So there's lots of exercises, exactly like what you'll find in the workbook, but there's videos and worksheets as well. So there's a lot more content and a lot more information to help you work through what your purpose is, to get real clarity on it, and to be able to put it into action in your life every single day. Also, please remember, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at podcast@infjwoman.com, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram, which is @infjwoman, or @The Quiet Ones Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. One more reminder, you can watch this video along with all of the video interviews at youtube.com/The Quiet Ones Podcast. And please make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen. We will see you again next week.